And when they reached out to me, I was like, my first question was, why me? Absolutely no references for this film. This will be a fight that we'll definitely see the end of the its course, and it's been in.
Hello Santhosh, welcome to the Hindu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
We loved Kalki, the film, as well as your score in the film. More than the songs, I'm a huge fan of the OST, and I'm waiting for the OST tracks to come out actually. This is a film where I don't know if it could be easily narrated to a technician to explain what sort of music it's needed from the film, right? So I want to know which part of the ideation process you came in and how it all worked out.
I think they had already shot for almost 7-8 months when they reached out to me. And I think they wanted to, I think even the producers weren't fully aware of what Nag's vision was. And so, for example, I will be like, everything will be cryptic in a sense. I will have to figure out what he is actually intending to do or whatever. So, and when they reached out to me, I was like, my first question was, why me? Obviously. So then Nag told me that he loved Cuckoo and he wanted to do something. Yeah, Cuckoo was his reference. So that was a very, I was very happy to hear that. And he asked me to work on a very soulful area. And then obviously there is a big epic space in the film. Obviously anybody who has watched will know. And that space is definitely doable. I think that it is pretty much an open area. Where he mentioned the word, throw the kitchen sink at it, kind of a approach to the epic world.
Right.
But then there's a soulful connection to Kalki, which will carry throughout its parts. Whatever the forthcoming part 2 or 3 or whatever is coming, so on and so forth. So we wanted to have a soulful narrative going, which will probably help gel everything in the film. So he mentioned that was one of the main reasons he wanted to work with me.
Right.
And I was very grateful and happy. Initially I couldn't believe it, but then we started work, and the whole ideation process was that we will probably create a few worlds. There are like, for example, Shambhala is a world, the complex is a world, Prabhas inside the complex, or whoever wants to go to the complex, Kasi in a sense, that is one world. And this whole Mahabharata area is one world, and the mother and the whole lab area is another world. So we created boxes, world boxes. Literally I have a folder called world boxes.
Right.
And we started throwing content at it, and then slowly evolved from there.
Now that the film is out, I think I can ask you, for example, how a scene was developed. Say the Deepika scene from the lab. What's the input that Nag would have given you, and how did you perceive it and take it forward?
We called it the mother theme, and there are 3-4 themes attached to the mother. Mother is the central character around which the entire film is evolving. So the very first theme that we tried to crack was the mother theme, and later on became the theme where like Shambhala invites the mother and all. No? That's a very like an emotive space. That was the very first theme that we tried to crack, and that probably the first file in my folder maybe. So it was very clear that we will have to. It should be epic in a sense, but it should also represent the loneliness of the mother, and that she is like artificially impregnated, and it also has a very cultural subtext going parallelly from 6,000 years ago for people who haven't watched it. I don't want to spoil it totally. So so that was a very important and the central theme around which we started the work, and I think we have 3-4 themes attached to the mother. For example, Sumati is, we'll call her Sumati probably. Her loneliness and her routine of boredom in the lab is captured with a vocal kind of a singular vocal added on top of each other, kind of a texture that we created for that. You might have probably heard it, and you might not remember it, but and then we had her the extraction process, like which already happened to another character in the lab, and then how there is an escape, and how this mother character becomes so central to all the other communities that are still left in the world and stuff. So yeah, I think everything stems from the mother. Initially the core theme of Kalki that I kind of released in my show in Chennai also, no? That was actually called the Mother's theme only. So later on became many things, but it's all attached to the central Sumati's character.
And this could probably be the biggest project you've done as far as scale and magnitude is concerned. Here, the film, I'm not sure how the references would have worked. Probably he might have given you some. These are the kind of sound I'm looking forward to. But at the same time, the challenge for you is to make sure you don't replicate that or duplicate that by any chance. So how does this? Were there any references to begin with?
Absolutely no references for this film. That was usually I'll ask for a reference at least to know where they want music. For example, when there's an edit given, I'll ask them not to feel twice before using a reference. Maybe I'll use it as a cue for the that will become a music supervisor in a sense.
Right.
Like from where probably the director wants to start the score. Some the start point and the end point is very unique to each director, from my understanding. From
You
the
mean
people
story wise.
Yeah, in a flow when you watch a film, no? Story is okay. We definitely would have done our background work and we have done some themes and kept them ready and whatever. But even when we did our themes, there was no reference. He just asked me to just go wild with it, and he was constantly sending me images of working images of the CGI and how big it will be. I was actually imagining it to be at a much smaller scale, and I was like, I thought that was big enough. But then when he started showing me some images and some raw footage from the shoot, I used to visit the shoot every now and then, and then I started saying that they have erected so many. I think almost 100 sets were erected for the film, and it was just massive. It was at a scale that our team, we never even thought would be possible, at least in India or now or whatever. So that was our reference. So after seeing that, we kind of amplified certain things and we retained certain things and whatever. So there's no reference, and he just asked us to make sure that the intended feel is really matching to his vision, and literally, like I would say that even the score was extremely knit by Nag in a way. So he would come sit with us on every little theme, and we'll probably tweak things. There'll be a lot of start stops happening, and it was I would say it is Nag's vision in many ways.
Then, without references, I'm wondering how the homework for this film would have happened. Like, would there be a lot of back and forth between you and Nag?
Nag doesn't. Almost no reaction from Nag. So we'll look for some basic cues. How he looks at it, and it was very tough in that area.
Right.
But I didn't want to. That is how he works, right? So I didn't want him to shift his workflow, and we'll probably I didn't know this initially. I thought he just didn't like what was happening, and then I think in one of the themes, I think the mother theme, I guess, the main Kalki, the ta da da da, the theme he said cool, and then when I met the producer that week, we literally became like a family because it's a 3-4 year project, right? So we literally become family. So when I met the producer once, I was like, hey, Nag here, he said cool. They were like, Nag, he said cool. Then they started calling people and all. That's when I actually knew that he doesn't. There are no superlatives that he generally uses. More like a sage in a way. So then I kind of realized that how he reacted, and I think this was in year 1 or so. So after that, we literally did a lot of themes in a 3-4 month period, and that's how we took it forward.
And probably the most interesting aspect for me as an audience is the fact that it's also futuristic. At the same time, there's a mythological periodic feel to it as well. So for example, the Buji theme is kind of futuristic, and I would say even the Bhairava theme to be an extension of that theme. And on the other side, the theme of Kalki, it's more mellow and it's more periodic, if I may say. And Takana is more of a contemporary, probably I can say. So the fact that all these exist within one film, so is that the story that makes this, or is it you playing around and figuring out how it works?
I would definitely say a mix of both. Me personally, I wanted to always include the sound of the 80s, 90s. I'm a big fan of Raja sir, Ilaiyaraaja sir, and and MSV sir and A.R. Rahman. I've always said this in many Tamil interviews probably. So I wanted to have like a small tribute going for Ilayaraja sir on Bhairava's theme, central theme, and this is something we create for the entire like if you want to call it the universe, right? The cinematic universe of Kalki. These are the themes that are going to stay throughout each film. So we really wanted to put our heart and soul into every theme. It doesn't matter if it is going to connect at this stage or whatever. I think I'm sure that when you do your at least we wanted to deliver our personal to our satisfaction. So we had this Bhairava's theme going, and I had a little ode or tribute to Raja sir, and then we have another Veera Dheera, the theme that comes in the very end of the film in the big reveal. That is my ode to MSV sir, and I recorded Anantu. You might have heard his voice in like this Vadachennai Rajan theme and all that. So he did an amazing job in that area, like giving it's a very amplified, like a kitchen sink thrown scene. So that was my ode to MSV sir, and there's a lot of the treatment of the mother in the lab is kind of my ode to Raman sir, and there are some small breadcrumbs like personally I kept in the film, and also the whole Mahabharata area it's one of my tributes to the extremely amazing duo of Rajamouli Garu and Kiravani Garu. No? So there are some small references, and when it came to this this complex song, that's how we kept calling it till we released it. So that is an area where it is a very critical area where we need to show his love for the complex. For the and that is the only footage probably you'll probably see him in the complex, right? For the rest of the film, or even we don't know what's going to turn up in the next parts. So that is a very essential area, and also it needs to have its little quirkiness, and we wanted to root it to kind of like 8 years behind today. Probably in the dubstep area, side trance when it just started. No? So and we also wanted to have orchestra. Nag had everything, like he had a big list of things. He will be like, I want a big choir, and then I want this to go into probably like an orchestral space, and then I told him that we probably can go into a side trance space because it also can include folk music of India, because it's in that 6/8. So then we knit the song. I think if you hear the Spotify version, that is a song I wanted in the film. But then the film will have a completely different edit of the song. The video that released will have a totally different flow. But the Spotify version will have a different. So it was a lot of work in terms of how we presented songs. I think if you had experienced the album in the film, it will be kind of slightly different to the actual album that's going to release, like probably like tomorrow or so. So yeah, I think I personally want to create a good audio experience for the listener going forward to even approach the next parts and so on.
Because earlier the film score is for the film. So they'll probably the cue would be like, this is how the film is going to go, this is where it starts, this is where it ends, so you make the music. But a film on the scale of Kalki, there are theme musics for each characters, there are theme musics for locations as well. When you're making them, I want to know how much of the story you had to know as much as the characters as well, like who Bhairava is, who the mother is, and so on and so forth. So how much in depth do you have to know, and how was that helpful in making the theme specific for them?
Yeah, I had like enough and very extreme detail of every character and the flow. And one of the most amazing things about Kalki is that for the film of this scale, there was little or no changes to the script. Yeah, that's why you'll definitely find in the native language in which they shot, there is very little or few changes in the dialogues also. So the dialogues were set, and usually in a film of this scale, I worked on very big films, international films, as an assistant to another person who is an assistant to the composer. That's it. I've worked on very big Hollywood films also. Even there, we'll see a lot of changes happening, and post the first cut, the production will come and give their 2 cents on the film. Even we have seen characters being replaced, so many changes in the storyline and all. But we were lucky that Nag had this vision and they executed it to their belief. So which gave us an amazing edge in terms of how we approach the music. So we didn't need to jump around the themes. We were just trying to hit one bullseye and trying to get it to our best satisfaction.
The favorite part of me as far as Santhosh's music is concerned is how you experiment with them and how you sometimes you stick to the usual path and sometimes you just go completely.
How did you feel it was in Kalki?
I liked most of the theme musics. The one that didn't work out for me was Anna Ben's theme music.
That area.
That didn't work for me because I found it to be too quirky.
Okay.
But I loved the major predominant characters. Theme music was something that I loved, and I'm not sure how many people. I think most of the people would probably like the anthem more, the main theme. But I like the Bhairava anthem more actually.
Oh, okay.
I think this is the first time. I love the Tamil version. So I think this is the first time there is a version where there is both Tamil and there is a proper mix of North and South. I felt.
Oh yeah. And this film has the entire story. And thanks for your review of the score. It is set in the future where there are only few people left in the world, right? Essentially, and it will be a mix of all communities, languages, cultures from the world.
Yeah.
So I personally also wanted to have that going in the album and the score. So there will be one probably in like for example Diljit's voice remains in Punjabi in all the languages, right? So likewise I recorded the great Bachchan sir in one song which is also releasing the Madhava Keshava, the first song, no?
Right.
So I feel like he's one of the greatest voices to have ever been created in history. Amazing. He's an amazing musician also, and he did that amazing job. So
you told about how he had a music idea and he wanted to share it with you, right?
Yeah, he's totally into it, and he literally becomes a child when he approaches music, and he's like, you can see all his like interest. He'll approach it as if he was just a child just got a new toy or whatever. So he has done an amazing job, and I want to retain that in Hindi. For all the languages, because even in the film, if you see, he's just starting to speak in his own language when he's having a conversation with Raya, whatever. And also there's one Tamil Opari that I've used in one of the songs, and I want that to be retained in Tamil in all languages. And of course Telugu, the Veera Dheera theme is a Telugu theme which will remain the same in all languages. So for me personally, it's like an ode to the multiculturalness of our Indian culture. As much as possible with the languages we have retained a few elements in all the languages.
The question that I was actually going to ask was, there are sometimes where you experiment and you go completely against the grain, and sometimes you stick to what the character requires. As far as the themes are concerned, I think you stuck very much to what the characters are, and it kind of exemplified who the person is and what kind of a character they are. Where is this place where you think, this is where I want to experiment and try something different, and this is where I stick to the genre and go about it? So how does that decision making happen?
In this, it was left to me only. Okay. Like, totally. There was no pressure on what to do and what not to do. And Nag was like kind enough to just let me know that if it hits the emotion, it's fine. And he gave me the ultimate freedom to experiment or do whatever with any theme. And I think we are releasing the score in the next couple of days. It's a 25-track album.
Wow.
So we are I'm trying to release it in the order of sequence as you see in the film, no?
Super.
So it could be like an experience.
Right.
I feel like I've had enough freedom on this. I don't know how you or anybody receive it. So I feel like I do generally what I love doing, and there are some probably like things that because it's such an epic visual fest, no? The movie.
True.
It's so hard to keep track of everything, like from the dialogues to the performances to the amazing SFX in the film.
True.
And then the score. And I think a lot of elements will get mixed up when you watch it just for once. And I don't think like it's a 3-hour movie. Watching it many times over in a theater and all is like it may not be feasible for everybody. So that's why I wanted to create this auditory experience through the album. When we release it, we'll have the songs that come after themes and all. Like, it'll be like one knit package of the film in audio. So probably I think I don't know. I do whatever I do, and there's no pressure in this. I never had to kind of go into a zone because this is what will work. This entire film is not that, right?
Right.
The overall approach, if you see, like there was you can always say they didn't do this, they didn't do this, they didn't. There was no this audio launch. There was no like.
Yeah.
There's a pre-release event. There is a structure to releasing a big film in India, and these guys were like brave enough to break the structure.
True.
I wouldn't be foolish to kind of go into a typical zone, and there's so much freedom. So I think I had enough freedom. I don't know. It's up to you to. I've never labeled myself in that zone, so let's see. Yeah.
Now the new trend is pan-Indian films, and the best part about, from viewers' perspective, the best part is I get to see my favorite actors from all over the industry coming together for one film. How does this work musically? Because music is of course universal, and anyone from the world can listen to your music and still vibe for it or enjoy it. But when you're catering to the entire country, the music that they will listen to is different, and so on and so forth. So how does that work, or is it actually easier because you can make one music that would fit them all? Is that possible? How do you go about it?
For me, my biggest inspiration was in 2008 when Slumdog Millionaire won the Oscar. No? It was one of the most memorable moments for me. I still remember that day. I actually remember that entire day.
Right.
I think Rajini sir Shivaji also released in that week, I guess.
Okay.
I still remember going there. We're celebrating Raman sir's win and all.
Huh.
And then my biggest takeaway was that he did what he does. He did his own stuff, his original music, and then the world lapped it up and they loved what he did. He didn't have to cater to a different audience. He just worked for the film, and he did. He worked to his strength. So that literally left an impression in my psyche itself. So I would say when something very challenging or enormous or epic comes, I think the best we can do is what we do best, right? So that's how I've approached this film. I never taken up there was no pressure even from even the production or the director or the actors. When I met they're like super humble. You would have seen all the popular interviews and all that. They're super introvert, humble, and they're just pulling each other's leg, and they don't take themselves seriously. So I thought that I didn't need any more than this to try and see what we do. So I felt that I should at least try to perform to my best of abilities, and the rest will be like when we have a director like Nag, I think it should work. So yeah, hopefully it worked.
And you're talking about the promotions of the film, right? One thing I really wish I saw was a live performance of you with the entire orchestra and all that, because I was just talking to a friend about that, and they were talking about how John Williams, Star Wars, how he performed, and it's one of the most viewed videos on YouTube, if I'm right. Similarly with how Hans Zimmer did for Dune, and that is something I would like to witness it myself. So
yeah, definitely.
Is there something on the cards on that?
Yeah, we actually have. There have been many instances where we prepare for something and then. See, because this whole setup is so new, no? We kind of, the entire music team surrendered to the vision of the production and the director. Only then we can create something this raw and new, and I'm very glad that it is seeing a big success commercially also, which is very important to, this could probably become like a starting point of a new way of epic cinema, right? So that is very, very reassuring. So for that vision, we literally surrendered to what they wanted to do. We have like tried so many different things on paper. We would prepare for it, and then like there'll be a position where Nag or the production will say, "Oh no, we started like this. I think this could be a relatively desperate move to make," and then they'll just not do it at all. Then people get shocked also. It's a very shock creating thing.
True.
But I think that the world building really worked. And when you come to I'm a very analytics guy. I've been in IT for so long, and then I quit and I came into music. So I would say that the way they have not been desperate with the views and buying ads and running Google AdSense and all on their trailers and teasers, doing it is not a problem. It's not a crime. But there's so much desperation to show that something has really worked with the audience, no? It is so high especially in India, no? So I think this is a very good example of connecting to the right audience, and even the other movie I would say is Ponniyin Selvan, where the support from the local masses was extremely high. And I'm very happy to see that this is happening pan India, and hopefully can travel to the other countries also.
In all your interviews, one thing I'm really fascinated to listen from you is how you say you keep learning and you want to keep developing that skill. So, but you're also so experienced. So I think the way I see it, there's a lot of unlearning involved in this process as well, if I'm right. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Unlearning, I don't know, like, because I don't take anything seriously. So I think unlearning happens day to day.
Because the way I see it, you've said a lot of times that you don't consider yourself to be a great music director, though we don't agree with it. You say that. So I assume it's because you learned it a certain way and you want to do it a different way now to make that stream better, right? So is that how you think as well?
Yeah, I think I learn whenever I meet a musician who excites me. It happens, and in Kalki I met with hundreds or thousands of musicians, and it really gave me a big, huge learning curve. And I kind of felt responsible for once in my life, because there's so much, like almost 1-2 terabytes of music that we are holding, and I really strived hard to keep myself healthy, and I was putting on weight in the middle. Now I've started working out and all that, because there's so much work constantly happening every day. It got a toll on our team also. Like, people were getting sick and left. Every other day there'll be at least one guy or girl who's just sick in the team.
Wow.
Because there's just so much, and because the scale is something that we haven't experienced in Indian cinema yet. But it was an amazing experience, and I learned so much. I learned that one of the paramount things to retain is your health.
True.
Which can affect the way you think, right? And one of my big learnings from Ashwin is that guy is so cool, man. Like, for the kind of pressure that was on him on the days of delivery, he was just cool, uber cool. I've never seen like all. I worked on almost 1,000 films. If you don't count if you also count the ones that I worked as assistant and all, no? This guy is like on a different league. He's in one Zen mode. That was a great experience, learning experience for me, and we sometimes had to work from 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. on a roll. Just have the 20-30 minute food break. So we had it's a big physical endurance test also for us. It happens with everybody, of course. Like, if you look at the teams that are directing and all, no? But we were not used to that kind of and we also had to work creatively also. Your mind should work till 5 a.m. And then you sleep and then get up and go back at it again. And you cannot feel bored, or you cannot feel
tired as well.
It sometimes it can frustrate you in a way. But all that is, for me, those are the biggest learning experience from this, as well as all the great musicians who always, like, I kind of rub off all the great talent when I meet them, and I feel like I have so many teachers now for great music.
Because of the way that you experiment with songs and music, many people don't consider you as a commercial music director. But I think this is probably the biggest commercial film we've had in recent times, and you're the music director for it. So how do you perceive that, and is that an image that you're okay with?
Yeah, I'm fine. Like, I see, if in 2010 or something, I was literally on the streets. I couldn't afford to even cycle to a studio. I started walking. I was hitting the rock bottom financially. I was healthy. There was no, like, we not too rich, like literally poor. And I was literally on the street. And from that to here, I'm like so grateful. People can have whatever opinions or whatever they can have, and I would always say it's good to have less expectations than to, like, expect something great and all. No? So I think any film that spends money and expects to make money is a commercial film. So that's how I define commerce. So I think all these are good.
Right.
Whichever, and it's something, sometimes it might give me a good motivation to try out something else also. I think the commercial success of Kalki will be a very important success. I've literally had I wanted to tell at least somebody in some interview, I've literally had most of my directors who call me and they all wished that this movie should work well. This doesn't happen because I work with so many different kinds of people. No, I'm common. I'm a musician. I work with people who don't even like have a common ideology between themselves.
True.
But here for this film, everybody was rooting for this film to win because one of my friends, Nalan, the director, he's one of the most important directors of our generation.
True.
He told me a very great thing, that this movie could open the doors to a different kind of mass commercial films. So that was very, very important. So I'm pretty grateful when I see any kind of critique, and there's so much to learn from Kalki, and I could see what audiences wanted to hear in Kalki. I was watching all the reviews, all the improvements that needed to happen in the music, all the score critiques, all the song critiques and all. So there's a lot of learning that I've put in one place, and I will definitely work on that also.
And I just want to wrap this up asking you about what's happening on the indie scene, because we've seen you doing a lot of work on that front as well.
Yeah.
So what's new coming up on that front?
So as the first things first, my studio is almost ready. I was having a 2-month break to devote my attention on Kalki.
Right.
And of course, we are doing some logistic work in the studio. It is almost ready. I think the studio will become the fulcrum for this new thing that I personally wanted to help create.
Right.
And I'm gonna give out the studio to the musicians who I think I'm gonna form. I have a company. I'm calling it Rakita Entertainment.
Oh wow!
So based on the song, one of my favorite song lyrics by Vivek. So I'm going to kind of create an ecosystem where artists that I really like. I have a team, and I'll also be one of the decision makers.
Right.
We're going to scout for great talent, irrespective of who they are, where they are from, if they are my friends or if they are young or old. My only priority is that they should be from Tamil Nadu first at this stage for my first 2-3 artists. Or people who speak Tamil, or from the subcontinent, from people who represent India, or the Tamil speaking communities from the other countries.
Super.
So I want to probably identify 2 artists for the first year.
Right.
And I'm just going to give them full access to the studio. The studio is not for rent.
Okay.
So I'm just going to give them access to the entire facility and help create something massive. And I think that we need songs like Enjoy Enjaami, or this Kachi Sera, or Naan Kudikka Poran, Rati Aditya. So I think we need 10-15 big songs to create an industry, which are like massive, and which can also be parallelly like as big or bigger than the film space. So if we can do that, I think we have an industry like how the Punjabi industry has really evolved. We have people like Sidhu Moosewala and Diljit and AP Dhillon and so many big names, right? So that is the vision that I have, and I really have identified a few music. I don't want to name them now. I want to do it in a big press meet, maybe somewhere. So I think we'll be in for a great treat of indie music in the short term, and many people are doing it. I'm so happy that it's happening parallelly, and I want to be like a fulcrum for the talent that we kind of
is this born out of necessity, because we've seen what you experienced with your previous songs, and the good things and the bad things as well, you know what happened. So is this more of like when a director doesn't get a producer who wants to make this kind of movie, he turns into a producer?
No,
equivalent of that?
Not like that, but it's good that for a song like Enjoy Enjaami, we were literally like given nothing. And that's why I put it out here. Usually you never see me complain in social media. A lot of like backlash happening, a lot of theories going around for so many different things in my life. But I wanted to do that because I'm also responsible in creating this whole company.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put my foot down. I'm going to be responsible for all the artists that we kind of in my company we cater to, or we identify, right? So that's the reason why I had to speak out about what had happened to us, and like such a successful song. It can happen to anybody. It can happen if it can happen to me.
True.
And I am connected to the entire music industry across the world. It can happen to literally anybody. So that's why I wanted to speak about it, and we take it also like. It's not that we just let go of them, we forgive them or whatever. This will be a fight that will definitely see the end of its course, and it's been in a legal system right now, and it will definitely be a massive victory for the indie music. We won't let the fight go, and for me, like I'm like hell bent on making sure that all the 3 artists like Arivu, D and myself are paid or whatever, like their fair share of what they deserve should be given. Definitely, that is a very important step for me.
Beautiful.
And I've told them that will be the first thing that I do once I set up the company. Then that's why you saw all those posts, videos and stuff. Yeah.
And before I let go of you, can we listen to some of the OST tracks from Kalki? One score that I loved in the film was when the people enter Shambhala for the first time, and they're witnessing how massive the place is, and
yeah.
the fact that it was hidden and stuff, right? So this is a whole new world that's being introduced. So do you have that track?
Yeah, I have, and I'm like pretty surprised that that was one of your favorites.
Right.
Yeah, that was done in a more unconventional sense.
Okay.
Like it's mix of India and the Western stuff that you see. Yeah.
Right. Why this stuck specifically for me is it not only introduces a new world, so that the grandeur of a new world is there. At the same time, the reason why they are there is not a happy reason.
Yeah.
Someone is on the run, and there's an emotional connect to it. And I think you infuse both of them quite well in this song. So this is my favorite. So let me ask what your favorite is, and if you can play that as well.
My favorite, like I have a few.
The top one probably.
Two of my favorites will be Ashwa versus Bhairava's fight.
Right.
That theme, and one is the Veera Dheera, the theme in the end, in the big reveal end.
Right.
Those two I love.
Can we get?
Yeah, I'll probably show you one small portion of this Bhairava fight, Ashwa and Bhairava's fight. So for this we recorded an ethnic, like a pipe-based wind instrument. My other favorite is the Veera theme.
Sure.
I'll just show you like a very small, it's a long one, it's a 4 or 5 minute one. I want people to experience it in the release.
Sure, definitely. Wow. I think I should see the film again to listen to this part of the film.
Yeah, if that's the reason, then I'll be happy.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. And I've been reading the Hindu newspaper, I would say, since I was in third grade or so.
Right.
The Young World,
Oh, yeah.
the Friday reviews, and all the Sunday, we'll like turn to the page 2 and see which film is running on Sunday and all. Huh?
True.
And the sport, we are the students, like boys who used to read the newspaper from the last page. Goes to the
For Sports Star.
sports.
Yeah.
The Sports Star is on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Saturday, yeah. Sunday is magazine, huh? Something.
Sunday magazine, yes.
Magazine, yeah.
Yes.
So I've been like it's such a legacy, no? To like right now, if you see, like we are seeing companies that are born, they hit $1 billion and just they are dead in a decade.
True.
So for this to happen, it's great, and I wish all of the staff and the creative heads all success. And thanks,
And on
thanks
behalf
for
of
the
company,
experience.
and on behalf of the company, thank you so much.
Thank you. And whenever there's an article in Hindu, my parents will call me. They'll be like, Narayana, Hindu lo vandirukku, and they'll cut it and they'll keep it somewhere.
So sweet. I think probably this week they'll have to do it again, I guess. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.